Hello and welcome, everyone. We are just sitting here in the pre-race lobby. This is going to be quite interesting. We've got a championship battle on our hands here with Bloodwave and Barack. Both trying to fight for the championship. Currently, Bloodwave is leading the championship by 129 points over Barack's 114. 15 points difference. Bloodwave just needs to be extra careful today. He just needs a P4 or P5 with the fastest lap, as Barack needs to win this race to help himself to a championship as a reserve driver. Nonetheless, what a season it's been for Barack. Now, it's been an interesting journey this season for everyone. Let's just set down the music before the video gets taken down. But yeah, it's been a very interesting season for all of us. And hopefully this last race of the season does produce something spectacular. As we saw earlier this season, this race has been run before, but of course there was some technical issues with the game where we actually had to restart the race, and hopefully we get to crown our new Tier 1 champion this season. And I need to ask, to everyone watching, who's your money on to win the race? Who do you think is going to win the Tier 1 championship of ALR Aero League Racing? I can't make any bets, but I hope they give us a brilliant fight till the end. See, BR4 is ready for this race. He is eager to get on track, and let me be honest, I'm also eager to get on track with these guys, getting you guys the best track action possible, and hopefully it will be a brilliant race. As I see, we are waiting for more than a couple of drivers, as there's currently only 11 in the lobby. Let's see. So, as we did run through the standings earlier, I'll quickly run through it one more time just to remind everyone that is joining tonight for Tier 1 ALR. As we see, the guys are reading up. I think this might be it. And we will be racing with 11 drivers on the grid. But our main focus is Bloodwave and Barack going for the championship. Is it going to be the Mr. Consistent of Bloodwave, or is it going to be the pure talent and pace of Barack? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. And let's get into it. I have to say, I'm stressing for the drivers that are driving tonight. This is going to be an interesting race, and I can already feel that we're going to have something very, very spectacular coming up. So the grid is set as per the previous race on the 24th of March. Let's see what Australia can produce on the, I believe it's 29 laps that we'll be racing. I see the guy there cheering, throwing his arms up in the air, and that's how all of us are going to feel once we get our Tier 1 champion. If Bloodwave does finish anywhere between 2nd, 3rd and 4th, the championship is his. And that would be the 2nd champion so far this season in ALR that hasn't won a single race but has won a championship. That's consistency, and that's something we don't get that often in the leagues of today. Normally you'll have to get guys that are winning championships. As we see 4, 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go as we see BR4 getting off to a bad start, and Bloodwave is going to make a move into turn 1. And Bloodwave is ahead on the medium tyres, but BR4 on the hard tyres is going to try and fight it back. And we see Steger now trying to fight it back as Adam also going side by side with the McLaren. And he keeps the position on the McLaren now. The McLaren is coming back at him as we see Benny Buno, and Benny Buno's out of the race. And it's a safety car. Let's quickly get the tires on the screen as we see Bloodwave leading the race currently with BR4 directly behind them. Then we've got Steger, Scalesy, Adam, Barack, Big Turns, Boba, Dax and Saeed. If they just finish the race, it is guaranteed points at this stage. That was very unlucky for Benny there, as I think it was just a unfortunate coming together there. Maybe, just maybe, Adam might have turned in on him a little bit, but you have to feel for Benny. Either way, he wouldn't have wanted that to happen. Benny would have definitely wanted to try and help Bloodwave win the championship in this race. Unfortunately, it's a straight fight between Barack and Bloodwave, which is actually something we needed. Let's see what we can get from this race. Man, I feel for Benny. As we see the cars filing around behind the safety car. I believe the safety car will be in this lap. Hopefully it is. And we've got some great action that we can look at. Will the safety car be out for another lap? Is the question. I think it is. A driver we need to look out for is Adam on those soft tyres that will be trying to make moves on the guys in front. As we all know, Adam's got that, he's got that swagger about him when it comes to overtaking maneuvers. And he just makes it look too easy. Let's quickly get the telemetry on screen and the track map as well. Hopefully the safety car will be in this lap. And for those guys who are joining, this is a straight championship fight between Bloodwave and Barack for the Tier 1 championship of ALR. Currently, Bloodwave has 129 points coming into this race. Barack's got 114. And as it stands, Bloodwave has the championship, but there's still such a long way to go. He needs to be calm. He just needs a P4 or better, and he wins the championship. We can see safety car in this lap, as Bloodwave will now take over the duties of controlling the pace of the grid behind him on his medium tires, as we see BR4 directly behind him on the hard tires. And BR4 might not have the initial pace in the first few laps, but he will have the pace towards the end of the race. And that's going to be so crucial. Now the question is, when is Bloodwave going to plant that throttle to get us underway again? We still see him being very patient. We see, I believe he might be going. We see Bloodwave bolts for it as we get underway again here in Australia. As Bloodwave's trying to defend from BR4, as we see directly behind them, Barack going defensive against Big Turns. As Big Turns is trying to make a move on Barack, and this is going to be so damaging towards Barack's championship hopes if Big Turns can make a move, and Barack just does leave him enough space, but Big Turns can't make the move on the outside. Now we see BR4 just looking at the back of Bloodwave and nothing doing, just a little bit too far back. I think he might have lost a little bit of time, as we see now Adam and Scalesy going side by side, as Adam is going to make the moves on those soft tires, trying to use them as best he can. And now Adam into the fast left right of turn 9 and 10. Gets a great exit out of that corner. Can he try and catch up and get within DRS of Steger? What can Adam do as he's catching really quickly on the guys in front? And it does look like one more lap and he will be on DRS again of the guys in front. Now turning our attention to Dax, who's much closer to Boba, as we just move on board, and he's going to make a move on on the exit of the final corner, going into turn 1. Is he going to brake a little bit later? And he just leaves enough room for Boba, as Boba loses out at against Saeed as well. And Saeed is past Boba. And Boba's just going to sit behind them. Now we see Barack making move on Scalesy. Scalesy is really struggling on his medium tires. And now Barack is fighting his way back, trying to keep his championship hopes alive. And now we go back to Saeed. Saeed is now all over the back of Daxi, but now we turn our attention to Big Turns and Scalesy. Scalesy is really struggling on his medium tires. Let's see what we can get, as we see Dax making a move on Scalesy as well. Everyone's lining up for a move on Scalesy. Scalesy needs to get something sorted, as we see Boba and Saeed fighting there at the back. As we can just remove the tire data for now. Saeed having a penalty to his name. He's not going to be happy about that. That's going to really dent his chances of getting further up the grid. And Boba looking at the back of Scalesy. Scalesy is struggling. Scalesy, how many positions has Scalesy lost? As we see Boba running really wide out of that corner. And that must have been a warning. And now he's going to lose some time against Saeed. Saeed is now trying to make a move on Boba, but he doesn't have the straight line speed to get there. So you see Daxi really close to Big Turns, as Big Turns doesn't have any form of protection in DRS, and now Dax is past him. Now, looking at the order, we've got Bloodwave leading BR4. Then we've got Steger, Adam in 4th position. Then we've got Barack. His tires will come into play later on the hard tires, remember. He still has some hope left. Then we've got Dax. Behind Dax, we've got Big Turns. Then we've got Scalesy. Then Boba almost making a move on Scalesy. But now Boba going for a switchback. It's not going to work. As we see a yellow flag for Adam. And Adam has kept the car running. I think it was just a spin. Doesn't look like he has damage. And he spins again, as I think he has overheated the soft tires. His rears must be gone at this stage. He must be looking to pit very soon, as we now look at Boba. Going to try and make a move on Scalesy. Scalesy is really wide, as he almost lost the car. And now Boba is going to make a move in the Haas on the Ferrari driver. And it's easy done before they even finish the braking zone. As we see another yellow flag for Adam. Adam is struggling at this stage. I think he might need to go onto the hard tires and try and run it till the end. Hopefully he can catch back up to these guys. Now looking at Saeed. Saeed will be aiming to make a move on Scalesy, who's really struggling. You see Adam spin again. But Adam, please don't give up. You've still got this. Remember, if you finish, you still get a point. You see Saeed trying to make a move on Scalesy. And now we look at Boba right on the back of Big Turns. And he needs to work with his teammates so that they can catch Dax in front of them. Just give him a slingshot here, Big Turns. And Big Turns doesn't give him a slingshot. It actually slows both of them down. And now we see Bobo really going for a move as he gets a much better exit. And Bobo's got the move done, as these two teammates are not going to be fighting it too hard. Now we turn our attention to Steger, who's really in the wrong place, as we almost see Bloodwave going into the pit wall from losing the rear end. So you see Adam has DNF'd, and now we look as Barack is right behind this group. He will be looking to try and gain time on them, as we see BR4 now trying to make a move on the outside, but Bloodwave defends very well, placing his car in the middle of the track in the McLaren. Now we see Steger closing up, but you do not want to be the third guy in a DRS train, because that only puts you at the disadvantage if you can't get close enough. As we see BR4 now making a move on the outside, as Bloodwave is going to let him go and try and use his DRS to get further away from Barack. Bloodwave just needs a top 4 position, and the championship is his. He doesn't need to fight this. Now we turn our attention to the back, as we see Big Turns all over the back of Bobo, who's currently struggling without DRS on Dax in front of him. You see the grid isn't close enough to make any moves. So we will turn our attention again to the guys in front, as we see BR4 right in front of Bloodwave. BR4 went a little bit wide there in turn 3, and that will cost him a little bit of time, as we see Bloodwave closing up to within 3/10 of him. And this is going to be interesting as they go into the turn 9, turn 10 chicane with the DRS open. I think Bloodwave might be able to make this move before they get to the chicane, and that's just going to help him to defend from Steger behind him. What a move from Bloodwave, as they are really fighting for it. Bloodwave using all the track there possible on the inside of that chicane. Now we see Steger closing up to the back of BR4. Now BR4's got DRS wide open. Steger's got DRS wide open. Apologies everyone, I had a technical issue on my side. My headset went completely dead for a moment there, but we've got Steger now looking at the back of BR4, and these guys are starting to lose time to Bloodwave, who's still controlling the lead, and we can see the clouds forming around the track. I'm wondering if there might be some rain coming very soon, as we see Steger now setting the purple second sector of the race, as he's trying to catch up and overtake BR4. This is going to be so close. Currently, BR4's tyres will be a lot better than Bloodwave's tyres. For those who are just joining in, we've got Bloodwave on medium tyres, still leading the race. Then we've got BR4 on the hard tyres. His tyres will be a little bit better at this stage of the race. Then we've got Steger again on medium tyres. Then we've got Barack in fourth on another set of hards. We've got Big Turns on the medium tyres, and we see Scalzi starting to make moves again, who's in sixth place, also on the medium tyres. Then we've got Saeed on the medium tyres, who's got a 5-second penalty. And then we've got Dax, who already pitted on the medium tyres. And we've got Boba on the hard tyres, as these guys are trying to do an undercut on the drivers ahead of them, which is possible. We see Steger going into the fast left-right. As we quickly look at Scalzi and big turns as Scalzi now makes a move back up into 5th place. His tyres are starting to come back to him, and he's feeling a little bit more comfortable around this racetrack. As we see big turns making a massive defensive move on Saeed. Saeed is trying to make a move on big turns, so he just needs to be patient. Maybe make the move into turn 3. So we see Steger pitting now, as his tyres will be feeling a little bit second-hand, as he was on the medium tyres, and he's trying to do an undercut on Brock and Bloodwave. And now big turns into turn 1, almost running a little bit wide there. And Saeed, what can he do? Nothing giving there. So you see Bloodwave once again using a little bit of ERS, just a dab of ERS, as BR4 doesn't look to attack him at this stage. I think BR4 might do it on the next straight though, as he'll be much closer on his little bit fresher hard tyres. And he doesn't make a move. I think BR4 might be patiently waiting for this, as we see they just edging away from Barack, who's currently in 3rd place. But the question is, will Barack be able to catch them? As we see BR4 really close to Bloodwave. Will he make a move into turn 3, as he just loses a little bit of time into turn 1? And it's just going to be another DRS train, where BR4 is going to sit patiently, just waiting for it to unfold in front and behind of him. So we see Steger now closing up to the back. So we want to remove the details. So Steger's puts it already, and Steger's at a little bit of an he's got an advantage over them. I think he's already got the undercut on them. The question is, can Bloodwave go that extra mile on his tyres and get to the soft tyres? As we now see BR4 making a move on Bloodwave, and he's not really going to fight it because he doesn't want to lose too much time to Barack. As we see Saeed getting a 3-second penalty. Now we turn our attention to Saeed, who's very close to big turns and still not making a move, as he's the 3rd guy in the DRS train. Like I said earlier, once you are the 3rd person in a DRS train, it's so difficult to overtake anyone. As we see big turns diving into the pits, as he wants to get fresh tyres and get on with his race. As we see Bloodwave now right on the back of BR4. And currently, to everyone who is watching, Bloodwave does have the championship in the bag, but he still needs to pit. So does Barack, and there's such a long way to go for the race. As we see Bloodwave now making a move again into the turn 9, turn 10 chicane. As now we can see Barack starting to gain a little bit on the guys in front on those hard tyres. The question is, how much life does he have left in those hard tyres so that he can try and make a move? As we now look back at Steger, now making a move on Scalzi into the penultimate corner, and Steger's got the move done. And that's going to help him a lot to get on with it and try and beat the guys that was in front of him of Bloodwave and BR4. So we now see Sahid just looking at it on the inside of turn 1. So thinking better of it. Scalzi's rear end almost completely went. And now Sahid's got an opportunity into turn 3. And he can basically squeeze out Scalzi, but he doesn't. And Scalzi just comes back at him. And that's going to be a great defensive move from Scalzi. Now look at BR4 right on the back again of Bloodwave. These guys have been going side by side, giving each other a chance to overtake, not fighting it really, to just get away from the guys behind them. Just had a little cough there. Now BR4 comfortably ahead going into the first corner. There won't be any moves. Now at this stage, with the clouds getting as dark as they are, the drivers must be wondering, is there going to be rain? Is there a chance for rain? Are they waiting it out? If they are waiting it out, how much time are they losing if it doesn't come? If the rain doesn't end up showing, how much time are they going to end up losing trying to work smart on the strategy? As Steger's really behind them. Steger's got this win in the bag if these guys do not make a move sooner rather than later. We see Bloodwave just thinking better of it as his rear end is really starting to step out. He needs to be patient. Now Bloodwave thinking better of it. As we see Barak is slowly but surely catching them. Now turning our attention to Scalzi and Saeed, and Scalzi has passed him before we really see a move as we see Bloodwave coming into the pits, and Bloodwave just gets the car slowed down, locking up. And will this be his opportunity to try and get an undercut on the guys in front and stay ahead of Barak? As I believe Bloodwave will be going onto the soft tires. He is on the soft tires. Is this going to help him with the potential rain coming? And Bloodwave has really fallen back. He's all the way down into 6th place. And now we see Dax all over the back of Bloodwave. And that's not going to help the McLaren driver with his championship hopes at all. As he just gets past Dax without making any contact. And now he's in a bit of a pickle here with much slower drivers in front of him. As he needs to clear Sahid and Scalzi. And I think he might be using all his ERS and DRS and tire grip to get past them. And he's going to make easy work, light work of this. As Bloodwave gets past them. As we see a bit of contact between Scalzi and Sahid at the back. As Scalzi didn't afford Sahid any room on the straight there. As Sahid goes really wide. And that's going to invite Dax into this fight. As Dax is now going on the inside of Scalzi, as Dax is trying to make moves in this race. Now the question is Barak going to be able to keep these tires alive for a few more laps? As his ERS is running really low, and then we've got BR4 still controlling the pace at the front. On his hard tires as well. The hard runners are waiting for the rain. As we see Steger running a little bit wide, as that will definitely be a warning for him. And now we got Bloodwave in P4. Remember, this is all Bloodwave needs. He just needs a P4 finish. And he is the Tier 1 champion. But there's still a long way to go. 10 laps to go. at this current stage in time. And we see Saeed all over the back of Scalesy once again. And these guys are going hammer and tongue against each other, as we see Saeed thinking better of it, as he just waits for it out of the chicane, gets much better traction. DRS open, using a little bit of overtake, and he's past Scalesy once again. As we see Scalesy losing the rear end a little bit, I think now might be a great time for both these drivers to come into the pits, as they have not pitted yet. I believe they have not pitted yet. So we've got 4 drivers that haven't pitted yet, and that's BR4, Barak, Saeed, and Scalesy. So now look at Scalesy trying to make a move back on Saeed. Will he get the move done? And he goes on the inside. What a late move, but it's brilliant. And he just squeezes Saeed a little bit. He barely left him any space. But if you are on the outside of turn 3, you are going to get squeezed. That's the unfortunate reality of that, as we see Boba having a spin. The same place where Adam did, and his rear tires are completely finished. Let's hope he doesn't spin here as well, and he does keep the car on track. As we see the field is now starting to spread out, as we see Barak starting to catch on BR4, and his ERS is basically depleted, as we see BR4 managing the race very comfortably ahead on his hard tires. And now Barak is low on ERS. I think he's forgetting to switch it off, as I think he just needs the DRS for it to play into his hands. At this current stage, Bloodwave is our champion, unless something drastically happens. Barak is trying his best. He knows there's a possibility of rain. He's trying to stick it out so that he can just go onto the inter tires and try and win it by not fitting on another set of dry tires and just going for an interset. What is Barak thinking? I'm wondering what's going through his head. He's driving such an excellent race. To be fair, there's nothing more he can do than just try and pass BR4, so that if the rain comes, he is first in line to have a pit stop and still come out ahead. We still don't see any signs of any rain, and I think it might be too late for Barak. We see Dax get a 3-second penalty, and I believe he is still safe against Scalesy, who's struggling on his tires. So is Saeed, both who haven't pitted. And I believe Dax is comfortably in P5. We see Steger and Bloodwave now starting to get close to each other. As we see Bloodwave trying to make a move on Steger, getting very close to him. DRS open, and he's going to get past Steger on those soft tires, as those soft tires will really be benefiting Bloodwave at this late stage of the race. And I think he might be eating into that gap of Barak ahead of him very soon. You see him just gaining a few tenths each and every corner. It's not even every lap, it's each and every corner where he's just gaining on Barak in front of him. BR4 still comfortably in front of him. And now Steger still looking at the back of Bloodwave, trying to keep up with him and let Bloodwave pull him closer to Barak. as we see Dax and Sahid pitting. And I believe we might have just seen our first droplets of rain as we just want to stroll on board. And that is the first drops of rain that we've got in this race. And will the track be wet enough for the drivers? Will Barack be able to keep it out until it's wet enough? He needs to try and close the gap on BR4 so that he can get some DRS assistance and gain on him and try and defend from Bloodwave. As we see Bloodwave is just gaining each and every corner once again. Now we see Big Turns getting past Scalesy. Barack's tires are going to be screaming. It's going to be so slippery for him. She can just see that light flashing. You see Barack now trying to get those tires working in these cold conditions, and he's not really gaining on BR4. He just needs to gain by a few tenths to protect himself from Bloodwave behind him. Doesn't look like the track is getting wet enough for him to put onto the intermediate tires. And this might be an issue for Barack and his championship hopes. Can Barack maybe close the gap in the final sector to BR4? As we see BR4 so much later on the brakes, and that was a big mistake from BR4. And now it's almost a second, the gap between Barack and BR4. As you see BR4 making another mistake. And now Barack is getting closer and closer to that DRS of BR4 ahead. And this is just going to help Barack. Barack still doesn't have DRS. He needs to make something magical happen in the final few corners of Sector 1 if he wants to have any chances of trying to defend against Bloodwave behind him. As we see Sahid get another 30-second penalty, and Barack is within 1 second. He's got DRS, as he'll be able to defend now against Bloodwave. But will those new tires of Bloodwave be so much better for him? We see Bloodwave's catching. He is catching. We see a yellow flag in Sector 3 for Sahid, who might have just spun a little bit on those old tires. We see Bloodwave now gaining on Barack. Is Bloodwave going to make a late lunge on the inside? He's not going to make a late lunge on the inside, as he just power slides through that corner, almost losing the rear end, just keeping it under control. We see Barack now losing the car a little bit, as I think he's decided it's enough. He needs to pit. But the question is he going on to the inters? He's going on to the inters, and this might help Barack. Now looking at Bloodwave all over the back of BR4. Has Barack made the right choice in tires? As I believe he might have gone a lap too early. Let's watch out for the gap between Barack and Steger. That way we can indicate if it was the right move by Barack. It's 17.8 seconds at this current stage. Will he be able to catch up through a few corners? We see the times are almost identical to the soft tires, or well, the hard tires of Steger. Now Bloodwave's making a move on the inside of BR4, and he's almost got the move done, as BR4 is now keeping it on the outside, and he's not going to give up this position. And that's Bloodwave and BR4 losing some time against Barak. As these guys might be pitting very soon, and these guys are coming into the pits for the intermediate tires. Now the question is, where will Barak file out in all of this? He's got the inters, his tires are up to temperature, his tires are in perfect condition. The question is, can he gain enough time to ensure that he doesn't lose a position to BR4 as we see those guys coming out of the pits? And Barak's done the undercut on Bloodwave. And BR4 just didn't leave him enough space. And now these guys are side by side and Barak is trying to make a move on BR4. And will he make a move on BR4? No, he doesn't, as he's still just having to sit behind them. As Barak is patiently waiting, he knows he can make a move. Regardless of what happens, Barak just needs to be patient. He needs to just sit patiently and not make any rash moves that isn't necessary, as the DRS is still activated for some reason. We now see Barak making a move, and he's still got DRS. And BR4 is still going to defend it on the inside. As we see Barak going for a switchback. And is it going to pay off? And it's not going to pay off. As we've got 2 laps left to go. Barak just now trying to defend against Bloodwave as well. Barak just needs to be patient. And he almost loses the rear end of the car. And now Bloodwave is all over the back of him. Bloodwave needs to be patient. He's got the championship in the bag as it sits in P3. Now we see Sahid spinning in Sector 1 in Turn 3. And he's got and Boba's got a 3-second penalty. And now Barak is still on the back of BR4. These guys have produced some brilliant racing this season, and it's just continuing. Just makes you wonder, what would Barak have done if he didn't miss those first 3 races? If he had joined the league earlier in the season? It's just astonishing, the pace that he's got. As we see him now starting to gain on BR4. Will he make a move on BR4? Or is he just going to sit behind and wait for the next lap? And he gets the DRS again. You see a 3-second penalty for Steger, which is not going to help him at all, as we see Sahid just getting out of the way with his broken front wing. He doesn't have a front wing left, but it's still P9 with 2 points for Sahid. You see Barak really struggling to keep Bloodwave behind him, as we see Scalesy also getting a 3-second penalty. Now Barak might want to make a move. Not into turn 3, but later on in the lap. As DRS is disabled, I think it's not going to be possible. Bloodwave's got so much more ERS left. And I think this is going to be a slam dunk move for him later on in the lap, unless Barak can produce a miracle. As we see BR4 going a little bit wide there, but I think he'll be fine. We now see Bloodwave using all the ERS possible, as he wants to make a move into P2 and maybe make a move into P1 to win his first race of the season, which he did win earlier this season, and he just going to sit behind through this fast chicane, and he's going to get on the ERS once again, and Bloodwave's going to try and make a move for the win of the final race of the season in Australia. And is he going to try and make a switchback? And he is going to make a switchback on BR4, who loses the rear end. And this is going to be a fight into the penultimate corner and even the last corner. And Bloodwave's going to fight it on the outside, and Bloodwave's got the traction somehow, and he's fighting BR4 for it, and he loses a little bit of traction, and he's going to try and make it as they go 3 wide over the line, and it's a win for BR4 with Barack in second and Bloodwave third. What a race ending. What a race as BR4 wins the race. Barack in second, Bloodwave in third, fourth is Steger, Dax in fifth, Big Turns in sixth. Then we've got Scalesy coming home in seventh. What a race it's been for Scalesy. Then we've got Boba right at the back. And then we've got Sahid struggling without his front wing. But ladies and gentlemen, your new Tier 1 champion of ALR, Mr. Bloodwave himself. Mr. Consistency. He hasn't won a single race as Nivi did in Tier 3. But well done, Bloodwave. You are the world champion. You are the world champion. Soak it up. Get a bottle of champagne. You deserve it. Well done, my friend. Well done. What a race ending. It was brilliant. The field did start to spread out in the middle of the race, but somehow, some way, these drivers ultimately just produced a mega ending with 3 wide there at the end. And once again, BR4 is on the top step of an ALR podium. But even though he's won the race and Barack is in second, our view is the McLaren on the right-hand side. Bloodwave is our champion of ALR Tier 1. He deserves it. He's put in the hard work. And I believe there's so much more to come from him. And that was our race. I hope all of you enjoyed it. Just rounding it off one more time. We've got BR4, Rock, Bloodwave, Steger, Dax, Big Turn, Scalesy, Boba, Sahid, with Adam and Benny, our only 2 DNFs. Barack tried his best all the way from 8th on the grid to try and win the championship. But Bloodwave and the McLaren just got it. What a season it's been. And hopefully I'll see you guys again on F1 24 as ALR will continue to produce excellent racing as we did right now. Have a great evening. Cheers.